Hey, are you confused by all the stretch guidelines? What does stretch guideline mean? What's 25%? What's 50%? What's 100? What's non-stretch? What's woven? I'm Laura, one of the owners and designers here at Rivet Patterns. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to determine the stretch of your fabric so that you can pick the perfect fabric for your new project. Okay, so what I've done is I have printed out this page from our one of our tutorials, and what you'll see, it's like fabric requirements, right? And it shows you a stretch guide at the bottom. Now, if you're making a bag or a storage bin or something like that that I've designed, you will not find this in the tutorial because all of my patterns, unlike Rochelle's patterns, all of my patterns are woven. So let's just start there. If you're making a bag pattern and you've never made a bag pattern before and you're wondering what a woven is, well, I'm going to show you what a woven is. I have a couple stacks of woven fabric right here that I got from my absolutely favorite fabric store called Crimson Tate, and I'm going to show you what woven is. Now, I have a couple different options to show you today. Let me pull a couple out here. Now, what I'm showing you is what I love to use for bags. So this is woven and it is a canvas. This is woven and it is like a quilting cotton. Both of these are woven non-stretch fabrics, right? So if I open this up and I pull from selvage to selvage, right? So the non-cut edge, selvage to selvage, and I just pull it. It doesn't stretch at all. It doesn't want to stretch. Now, it might stretch at the bias, like a little bit, but it is not. It is considered a non-stretch woven. When we talk about that in the tutorial, we're talking about something with no stretch. Now, that's a canvas. Canvas is going to be heavy. It's lovely for bags. It's my favorite for bags, actually. And right here, we've got a quilting cotton. It's 100% cotton. It's thin. It can also be used for bags or quilting and sometimes even clothes. And let's do the same thing. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to pull it. You can even hear it. It just does not want to stretch. That is a woven non-stretch fabric. It is a quilting cotton. So you can make some clothes out of it. I have certainly made my fair share of clothing out of quilting cotton, especially dresses for my kids. I love making dresses for my kids out of quilting cotton. But the pattern has to call for woven non-stretch. You cannot use a woven in place of a knit and vice versa. Many times they will not fit at all, and if they do fit, the fit is funky and the fabric lays all weird. So make sure you're paying very close attention to what your pattern, whether it's a Rivet pattern or from any other pattern company, what those fabric requirements are. So for most of our patterns, they are made with stretch knit fabrics, various things from double brush poly to cotton lycra to rib knit to sweater knits, even sweatshirt fleece, things like that. Yeah, and there are a ton of fabrics that I can't even, like, in my mind, I can't even think of them right now. But right here I have one of our clothing patterns. This is actually, it says page 7. I think it's from one of Rochelle's skirt patterns, and it has our stretch guide and it has a whole list of fabric requirements above. So let's take a closer look. All right, so here we are. Here's the page that I've printed out, and up here it has a whole couple of paragraphs regarding fabric requirements. So this particular pattern says that it requires light to mid-weight fabric. You can choose to make this skirt either in woven, which is the non-stretch, right, like we showed you, or in knit fabric. If you're using knit fabric, be aware that vertical stretch in some fabrics may cause your skirt to grow, particularly in the longer lengths. Okay, if you're using a fabric with vertical stretch, which is up and down stretch, right, you want less than 25% stretch is ideal. All right, so additionally, your fabric choices will have a huge impact on how your final garment looks. If you're using a quilting cotton for this skirt, it doesn't have necessarily a ton of drape. It's going to be a little boxier, whereas if you use, say, this here is a double brush poly, it's going to have a lot more flow to it. But not all fabrics are created equal, so you have to just keep that in mind. And as you're learning about fabric, it's kind of a trial and error kind of thing. and fun, right? So anyway, let's take a look at the stretch guide down here. All right, so you can see at the bottom of the page, we have a stretch guide, and it's a 7-inch ruler. It also has, it says 25%, 50%, 75%. All right. So what you do is you're going to take, for this example, I'll use all 3 of these, but I'm going to start out with this beautiful double brush poly. Let me move this up here a little bit so I have a little more room. And I'm going to grab a 4-inch piece of this fabric. So I'm going to hold, just kind of unfold it a little bit. Now, I'm going to grab from the center. So this is the selvage here. This is the cut edge. So I'm going to grab the cut edge. And I'm going to hold a 4-inch piece. So I'm going to measure it here. So here's a 4-inch section. And so I'm going to hold it right there. Okay. Do not stretch it. You want it non-stretched, right? So there's about 4 inches. And now I'm going to hold this side down, and then I'm going to stretch the right side. So I'm going to stretch it and see how it does. So I'm between 50 and 75%. I could really go far, right? So we're probably 75%. And then the recovery, if you talk about recovery, it's when you let go and it goes back to the original shape. Now, a lot of fabrics, 100% cotton stretch fabrics, they will not have a recovery. You will hold 4-inch and you will pull it out and you will let go and it will not go back. Those are not fun to work with. Those, you really do need recovery, especially for the skirt. You need a recovery. Otherwise, once it stretches out, it stays stretched out. All right, so I hold 4 inches. And man, I've got a ton of stretch there, right? And it does recover. All right, this is a beautiful fabric. All right, this is a double brush poly, excuse me. They're not all gonna stretch the same. That's why you have to compare it to the requirements of the pattern and the ruler here, so you know exactly what you're dealing with. All right, so now let's look at another one. This is a piece of fabric. This is Peach Performance, I think is what it's called, from Amanda's bundle. It's hard for you to tell, but it's a dark navy blue, kind of heathered. It's really beautiful. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to unfold a little bit. Let me get my junk out of the way here. Okay, so I'm going for a selvage, which can be, hold on, let me unfold this a little bit more. All right, so I've got a lot of this fabric, so I'm just kind of trying to grab it somewhere in the middle here. All right, so I have a selvage. This is selvage on this side. This is the cut edge up here. All right, so I'm going to grab it somewhere in the middle. And again, let me pull my paper down here so you can see a little better. I'm going to not stretch. I'm just going to line it up on the ruler and hold it at the 4-inch. I'm going to push down with my left thumb here. Okay, so I'm going to hold it in place, and then I'm going to pull it. Now you can see this has a lot of structured stretch, but it still goes to 75%. But if I let it go, boy, does it come right back. This is wonderful. Like, this type of fabric would be really great for leggings and things like that. So it comes out to 75. Now, not all of them will do that. Again, just these are random ones that I've picked, and y'all keep coming out. Very, very stretchy. All right, let's move this Peach Performance to the side. Bring our paper back here. And now I've got this kind of a sweatshirt fleece. This is also from Amanda's bundles, and it's really fuzzy on the wrong side and just amazing on the right side. It makes me really happy. So I'm going to unfold this a little bit, just like I did the other ones. All right. Okay, bring my paper back here. So we can see this is the selvage, this is the cut edge. So I'm gonna grab somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to line up at the 4-inch without stretching, and then see, this one doesn't have as much stretch, which I would expect from a like a sweatshirt fleece. So you're going to pull it. So I'm pulling where my thumb is. I'm between 25 and 50%. Okay, and I bet if I pulled it more, I could get it to 50, right? And then when I let it go, it goes right. Look at that. It goes right back. So it has great recovery. So that is how you determine the stretch of your fabric. The thing is, this is an important part of the process, especially if you're new to sewing knits. It's really important that you just pay close attention to what the instructions say. If it says you need at least 25% and you try to use a non-stretch woven, you're gonna have a tough time. All right, because there's ease that happens. There are different things that happen within sewing a stretch garment as opposed to a non-stretch garment. So if you're new to sewing knits, feel free to ask questions. We're here for you. You can email us, you can comment below, and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions. But pay close attention to what you're sewing and what those requirements are. The requirements are there for a reason, and to ignore them probably isn't going to be the most fun. Believe me, I know, I have ignored them myself. So we've all been down the same road, and we have very similar experiences, and just like trying to experiment with a pattern, you have to be really careful because they're designed a certain way for a purpose. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of information. I'm going to put all my fabric away. Well, I'm going to hold this one for a second because it is just lovely. And I will see you next time.